The rescue alarm sounded softly through the exploration ship Aster Vale, not sharp or urgent, but steady enough to pull attention. It meant something rare had been detected, something drifting where nothing should be. Commander Elias Rourke stood from his seat and looked at the screen. The object was small, barely larger than a shuttle pod, moving slowly near the edge of a collapsed star system. No power signals. No weapons. No clear origin. "Life signs?" he asked. Lieutenant Mara Chen checked again, her brow tightening. "Yes, Commander. 1. Extremely weak. That alone was strange. This region of space had been dead for millions of years. Radiation storms, frozen debris, and unstable gravity made survival almost impossible. They brought the object aboard. The pod opened with a soft release of pressure, and for a moment, no one spoke. Inside lay a figure unlike any species in human records. She was tall but thin, her body shaped in smooth lines rather than sharp angles. Her skin was pale, almost translucent, with faint patterns that shifted slowly like frost moving across glass. She was alive, but barely. Medical teams moved fast. She was placed in a controlled environment, surrounded by scanners, warming fields, and support systems. Yet nothing seemed to work the way it should. Her vital signs stayed unstable, flickering between weak and dangerously low. Dr. Samuel Ortiz watched the readings with growing confusion. Her biology doesn't match anything we know. Temperature regulation is unusual. How unusual? Commander Rourke asked. She's too cold, Ortiz said. Not injured, not poisoned, just cold. But when we raise the temperature, her systems start failing. That made no sense. Cold was killing her, but heat was hurting her too. Hours passed. Every known medical solution failed. Artificial heat fields caused stress reactions. Insulated chambers disrupted her breathing patterns. Even advanced adaptive environments could not keep her stable for more than a few minutes. She should be dead, Ortiz said quietly. By all logic, she should be. But she wasn't. Near the end of the cycle, when the crew had nearly exhausted their options, the alien opened her eyes. They were dark, reflective, and filled with exhaustion deeper than sleep deprivation. She looked around slowly, as if moving her gaze took effort. When she spoke, her voice was soft and broken, shaped carefully around an unfamiliar language that the ship's translators struggled to catch. "Warm," she said. The word came through clearly. Rourke stepped closer, careful not to startle her. "You're safe," he said slowly. "We're helping you." Her eyes shifted toward him. She seemed to study his face, his posture, his breathing. The scanners reacted almost immediately. Ortiz blinked. "Commander, her vitals just improved." "From what?" Rourke asked. Ortiz checked the data again, then looked up in disbelief. "From you standing there, they ran tests. Carefully. When Rourke stepped back, her condition worsened. When he returned, it stabilized. Not dramatically, but enough to be measurable." "It's not coincidence," Chen said. "It's consistent." The alien swallowed, her movements slow and weak. "Human," she said, clearer this time. "Remain." Rourke hesitated. This went against protocol. Proximity without understanding a species could be dangerous, but leaving was worse. He stayed. Minutes passed. Then something unprecedented happened. She slept, not unconsciousness, not shutdown. True rest. Her breathing deepened. Her internal rhythms aligned into stable patterns. The ship's medical systems, which had been fighting to keep her alive for hours, finally eased their alerts. Ortiz stared at the display like it had betrayed science itself. She's recovering, slowly, but genuinely. "What did we do?" Chan asked. Ortiz didn't answer right away. He watched Rourke standing near the bed, arms relaxed, body giving off nothing special. No devices, no medical tools, just presence. She's responding to human warmth, he said at last. Not heat, warmth. They tried replacing Rourke with a thermal emitter set to exact body temperature. Her vitals dropped. They added motion simulation, breathing rhythms, even recorded heartbeats. Nothing worked. A human had to be there. Word spread quickly through the ship. Some crew members volunteered to take turns staying near her. The moment another human replaced Rourke, the effect continued. Different people, different builds, different temperatures. But the result was the same. When humans were near, she lived. When they weren't, she faded. She woke again hours later, stronger this time, able to speak more clearly. She explained that she was an envoy, sent far beyond her people's space. Her species traveled cold routes, survived in stillness, but paid a price they had accepted for generations. We do not rest, she said. We pause, but pause is not sleep. Why us? Rourke asked. Why did you come here? Her answer was simple. Rumors, she said, that humans are warm. Not just physically, she explained, but unpredictably, constantly, alive in a way that machines and controlled systems could not copy. Her species had perfected stability, perfect balance, perfect efficiency, and lost the ability to truly recover. You carry chaos, she said softly. It creates comfort. The room was silent. This was not an attack, not a demand, just a truth stated by someone too tired to hide it. She closed her eyes again, trusting them. And for the first time since humanity had reached the stars, they realized something unsettling. Their greatest strength was not ships, weapons, or intelligence. It was that they had never learned how to become cold. The ship changed after that. No alarms announced it. No orders were given. Yet everyone on the Aster Veil felt it. A quiet awareness settled into daily routines, as if the walls themselves were listening. Somewhere in the medical wing, an alien envoy slept only because humans were nearby, and that truth made everything feel heavier. Commander Rourke approved a rotation schedule. One human would always remain within a few meters of her. No protective suits. No barriers. Just presence. At first, the crew treated it like a medical duty. Calm voices, controlled movement, minimal interaction. But humans were not built for stillness. Engineer Paul Reyes was the first to break protocol by accident. He sat near her bed, pretending to read data logs, but soon found himself humming quietly. He did not notice when he started. It was an old habit from long shifts alone. The medical monitors reacted instantly. Her breathing deepened. Her heart rhythm smoothed. Dr. Ortiz froze. Don't stop, he said quickly. Reyes stopped humming. Her vitals dipped. Reyes stared. Slowly, awkwardly, he hummed again, not louder, not softer, just human. Her condition stabilized. Ortiz leaned back, stunned. It's not just warmth, he said. It's behavior. They learned quickly after that. Silence helped, but natural sound helped more. Breathing, shifting weight, soft speech. Even quiet laughter from outside the room raised her stability reading slightly. She did best when humans behaved like humans, not like machines pretending to be calm. When someone tried too hard to be still, the effect weakened. She's not resting in heat, Ortiz said during a closed briefing. She's resting in unpredictability. That made many people uncomfortable. Humanity had spent centuries trying to remove chaos from space travel. Controlled systems, clean lines, perfect order. Now an alien life depended on the very thing humans were taught to suppress. The envoy woke longer each time now. She learned names, faces. the way humans tilted their heads when confused, the way their voices changed when tired. She asked questions slowly, carefully, as if language itself cost energy. "Why do you move?" she asked one night, "when stillness is possible?" Rourke considered the question. "Because we're alive," he said at last. "Stillness feels like giving up." She thought about that for a long time. Her name, when fully translated, meant something close to one who listens between pulses. The crew shortened it to Lyra, a sound she accepted with quiet amusement. As she grew stronger, she explained more about her people. They were not weak. They were not dying, but they existed in a constant state of partial exhaustion. Long ago, they had chosen survival over comfort, stability over change. They adapted to cold voids and frozen routes between stars. Rest became unnecessary, then impossible. "We forgot how to stop," Lyra said. "Without stopping, we forgot how to begin again." Humans listened. That was when the outside pressure arrived. A priority message came from Earth Command, short, direct, concerned. Alien biology responding to human proximity raised questions no one wanted to answer, yet. Ethical concerns, security risks, political consequences. Humanity had rules for first contact, and this situation fit none of them. Rourke was ordered to prepare a full report. He sent it honestly. Human warmth was not a weapon, not a resource, not something that could be extracted or controlled. It was a side effect of being human. That answer satisfied no one. Additional instructions followed. Reduce unnecessary exposure. Limit emotional bonding. Observe only. The order failed the moment it reached the crew. They did not rebel. They did not argue. They simply continued as before, because stopping felt wrong. Lyra noticed. "You are conflicted," she said to Rourke one cycle later. "Your thoughts are loud." "We're being watched," he admitted. She closed her eyes, sensing the steady human presence around her. "Then let them watch," she said. "This is who you are." A test was ordered soon after. A remote-controlled drone designed to perfectly replicate human temperature, motion patterns, and sound was placed near her while all humans exited the room. The effect was immediate and severe. Her breathing turned shallow, her skin patterns dulled, stress indicators spiked. The drone was flawless and completely useless. The humans returned within seconds. Lyra recovered. The data was undeniable. Human warmth could not be copied. That scared people more than if it could. Because if something cannot be copied, it cannot be controlled. Word leaked beyond official channels. Other species began asking questions. Quiet ones at first. Curious ones, then urgent ones. If humans could restore what entire civilizations had lost, then humans were no longer just another species among many. They were something else. Rourke understood the danger of that idea. So did Lyra. "You must choose," she said softly, "to hide or to share." "Sharing could hurt us," Rourke said. "Hiding will hurt others," she replied. The ship continued its journey, no longer just a rescue vessel, but a moving question mark drifting between stars. The crew felt it in every interaction, every shared meal, every moment of unplanned laughter echoing through metal halls. They were not special because they were strong. They were special because they were human. And somewhere deep in space, an entire species waited to learn how to sleep again. The attention arrived before the ship reached its next waypoint. It did not come as threats or demands. It came as questions, official, careful, polite questions sent through secure channels from other fleets, other species, and other governments that now knew something unusual was happening aboard the Astorvale. They wanted data. They wanted confirmation. They wanted access. Commander Rourke felt the pressure in every message. Humanity had prepared for first contact conflicts, trade disputes, even war. It had not prepared for being wanted for something it could not turn off. Lyra sensed the change before anyone told her. "The air feels sharp," she said quietly as Rourke stood near her resting chamber. "You are preparing to defend." "We're preparing to explain," he replied. She gave a slow, thoughtful blink. "That is more dangerous." Earth Command ordered the ship to slow its travel. A joint observation council was being assembled. Representatives from multiple species would be allowed to observe the phenomenon under controlled conditions. Controlled conditions made the crew nervous. The first visitors arrived days later, their ship docking at a safe distance. They were cautious, curious, and visibly tired in ways humans had never learned to see before. One by one, they observed. They watched human crew members sit near Lyra, talk softly, move naturally. They watched her rest fully, something many of them had not done in decades. The room filled with quiet disbelief. "This violates thermodynamic modeling," one observer said. "This violates cultural assumptions," said another. Lyra did not speak during the first sessions. She slept, deeply, safely, as if making a point without words. When she finally woke and addressed the observers, her voice was steady. "You look at them as tools," she said. "They are not." A ripple of discomfort passed through the chamber. Humans had been tools before. Soldiers, workers, builders, but never like this. The observers asked for trials. Small ones at first. A human volunteer sat beside a representative from another species known for long cycles of wakefulness. The effect was subtle, but clear. Stress indicators lowered. Neural patterns stabilized. Another test, another species. Same result. The truth spread faster than any signal. Humans were not special because of power or intellect. They were special because they were alive, in a way the galaxy had slowly forgotten. That truth frightened governments. Restrictions followed. Some species demanded exclusive access. Others proposed trade agreements. A few suggested containment, fearing dependency. Humans listened. They refused. Rourke made a public statement, transmitted across the local network. Short, calm, firm. "Humanity will not be owned," he said, "and we will not be used against our will. If we help, it will be because we choose to." The response was mixed, relief from some, anger from others. Then came the crisis. A long-range distress signal reached the observation fleet. A station belonging to Lyra's people had gone silent. The energy systems were intact, life support functional. But the inhabitants were collapsing into forced stasis. Unable to maintain awareness, they were freezing without cold. Exhaustion had finally crossed the line into failure. The council debated. Protocols clashed. Time ran out. Lyra listened, silent, then stood for the first time without support. Her movements were slow but strong. "Send humans," she said. The words echoed. "How many?" someone asked. "As many as you can spare," she replied. "Not as caretakers. As neighbors." It was not a military operation. It was not a rescue mission by force. It was migration. Human volunteers stepped forward before Earth Command could even issue a call. Engineers, medics, teachers, ordinary people who did not fully understand why they were needed, but understood that someone else could not sleep. Rourke watched the first transport leave, its lights fading into the dark. Fear sat heavy in his chest. What if they were wrong? What if humanity broke something by being there? The station came into view days later. Silent. Dim. Still. Inside, the air felt heavy, like a room that had not been lived in for too long. Humans entered slowly. Carefully. Not touching, not forcing. They laughed quietly at mistakes. They argued over small things. They existed. The effect was immediate. Lights brightened. Movement returned. The inhabitants stirred, confused, emotional, overwhelmed by something they could not name. Some cried without understanding why. Others slept where they stood. Lyra arrived last. She watched her people rest for the first time in generations. Not pause, not shut down. Rest. You did not conquer us, she said to Rourke later. You reminded us. The galaxy watched, and for the first time, humanity realized the cost of being warm in a cold universe. They would never be ignored again. The galaxy did not stay quiet after that. What happened at the station spread faster than any official report. It moved through whispered channels, private data exchanges, and tired voices that suddenly sounded hopeful. Species that had forgotten what true rest felt like began to remember it after only brief contact with humans, and with hope came fear. Some governments welcomed the change, others panicked. A few saw opportunity sharp enough to cut entire civilizations open. Human ships began receiving messages that were polite on the surface, but heavy underneath. Requests turned into expectations. Expectations leaned toward demands. Earth Command was no longer united. One faction argued that humans had a responsibility to help. Another warned that dependence could turn humanity into a living resource, traded and controlled like fuel or medicine. History had taught humans how dangerous that path could be. Commander Rourke felt the strain in every transmission. His words were measured now, careful, no longer spoken only as a rescuer, but as a representative of an entire species. Lyra noticed the change. You are pulling inward, she said, as they stood in a quiet corridor overlooking the station where her people slept. You fear being taken. We've been taken before, Rourke replied, by each other. She considered that, then this time, you must not allow it. The first refusal came soon after. A powerful trade coalition proposed a controlled program. Human presence would be licensed, scheduled, and monitored. In return, humanity would gain access to advanced technology and protected status. It sounded generous. It was also a cage. Earth Command said no. The reaction was immediate. Economic pressure followed. Trade routes slowed, supplies were delayed. Nothing violent, nothing obvious. Just enough to remind humanity that the galaxy had ways of punishing disobedience. Some humans began to doubt. Crew members argued in quiet corners. Civilians sent worried messages back home. Helping others felt right. But what if it cost too much? What if warmth burned the one who carried it? The breaking point came when a distant outpost went dark. Not Lyra's people this time. Another species, one that had watched and waited too long. Their leaders had argued, delayed, refused to ask for help until pride collapsed under exhaustion. By the time humans arrived, it was too late for many. Not dead, but lost. Their minds had shut inward, locked behind walls of forced stillness. They would live, but never fully wake again. The humans returned shaken. They had not caused the damage, but they had not arrived in time. That failure changed everything. Humanity realized that refusing to choose was also a choice. If they stayed distant, others would suffer. If they offered help without limits, they would lose themselves. So they did what humans had always done best when trapped between bad options. They invented a new one. The proposal was simple and dangerous. Humans would not be deployed. They would be invited. No contracts, no ownership, no schedules enforced by power. Mixed stations would be built where humans and other species lived together by choice, not as caretakers, but as citizens. If humans left, the warmth left with them. No one could hoard it. Many governments protested. This removed control. It removed leverage. That was the point. Lyra spoke before the council one final time. You fear dependency, she said. But what you truly fear is equality. They cannot be owned because they do not need you. They come because they wish to. The vote passed by a narrow margin. The first shared station opened months later. It was not perfect. Humans argued. Other species struggled with noise, motion, and emotion. Cultural misunderstandings happened daily. Privacy had to be redefined. Space itself felt smaller, but people rested. Creativity returned. Decision-making sharpened. Long-frozen cultures began changing again. And humans changed too. They learned restraint. They learned that warmth could overwhelm if forced. That presence was a gift only when freely given. Commander Rourke watched the station grow from a window overlooking a common area filled with quiet movement and soft sound. Lyra stood beside him, no longer weak, no longer fading. You chose risk, she said. We always do, he replied. She smiled in the careful way her species did when emotion ran deep. Then the galaxy will have to learn to live with you, she said. And for the first time, humanity understood something clearly. Being warm was not safe, but being cold had never saved anyone. Years passed, and the galaxy slowly learned how to breathe again. It did not happen all at once. Change never did. It came in small moments that only mattered because they stayed. A mixed station opened near a trade route, another near a research hub, another far from everything, where stars were dim and space felt endless. Humans came and went. Some stayed for months, some stayed for years, some left and never returned. No one forced them. No one kept count. Where humans lived, other species slept. Not because humans tried to help, but because they lived. They cooked food that smelled strange. They talked too much. They laughed at bad timing. They argued about small things and forgot about them later. They were inconsistent, emotional, imperfect, and that was enough. Commander Elias Rourke no longer commanded a ship. He had refused promotion more than once. Titles mattered less now. He lived on one of the first shared stations, in a small space with thin walls and a window that showed a slow-moving star field. He walked the station every morning. He saw children from different species learning side by side, some moving too fast, others too slow, all adapting. He saw artists from cultures that had not created anything new in centuries, now struggling and failing and trying again. He saw engineers arguing loudly, then sleeping deeply afterward. The galaxy sounded different now. It was louder. Lyra walked with him sometimes. She no longer needed constant human presence, but she still preferred it. Her people had changed. Not completely. Not suddenly. But rest had given them something they had lost: choice. They no longer planned every moment to survive exhaustion. They dreamed again. Some of those dreams were frightening. Others were beautiful. That was the cost of waking up. One day, a young human asked Lyra why her people had not found warmth on their own. Lyra thought carefully before answering. Because we believed comfort was weakness, she said, and by the time we learned otherwise, we no longer remembered how to feel it. Humans listened. That was another thing the galaxy noticed. Humans listened. They did not arrive as rulers. They did not stay as saviors. They argued. They doubted. They left when things became too heavy. And they came back when they were ready. Some species still feared them. A few tried to recreate human warmth using machines, using controlled chaos, using simulations. None succeeded. The results were always hollow, too perfect, too empty, because warmth was not a process. It was a side effect. The councils changed after that. Decisions took longer, but they were better. Rushed choices became rare. Long, silent voices returned to debate. The galaxy slowed down. Not into stillness, into balance. One evening, Rourke stood near a viewing platform, where soft light reflected off metal and glass. Lyra joined him, her movements calm, unhurried. "Do you regret it?" she asked. "Regret what?" "Letting the galaxy see you as you are," she said. Rourke thought about it, about the pressure, the fear, the moments when humanity almost pulled away. "No," he said. "I regret that it took someone else almost breaking for us to understand ourselves." Lyra nodded. "That is also human." Time continued. The term warm harbor entered common speech across dozens of species. It did not mean a place. It meant a feeling. Safety without control, presence without ownership. Humanity was no longer ignored in galactic history. But they were not feared either. They were described in reports and records with careful words. Unstable, empathetic, dangerously alive. Centuries later, when faster ships crossed greater distances and new species joined the galactic community, the story was still told. Not of war, not of conquest, but of a single exhausted envoy who drifted into the dark and asked for warmth, and of a species that did not know it was carrying a gift until someone needed it. On a quiet station far from Earth, a human child asked an old archivist why humans never built monuments to this moment. The archivist smiled. "Because humans don't mark what they are," she said. "They live it." The galaxy never became warm, but it never froze again. And somewhere between the stars, humans continued to exist as they always had. Imperfect, emotional, warm.